This is an open letter to Mr. Glenn Beck, and one of the guests he had, and it wasn't important enough for me to remember the name of the guest that he brought on, that he was very much simpatico with. Mr. Glenn Beck brought this guy, and they seemed to be very simpatico. And the general idea of Mr. Glenn Beck and his host and his guests, well, hosts don't usually bring guests that they don't agree with because they don't want the headache. Hosts are basically, they have a viewpoint, and the job of the host has become the job of the interviewer has become to find people. Interviewer has become somebody who has a viewpoint, and he wants to push his viewpoint, and in order to push his viewpoint, he has to find people who agree with him, and then bring those people in and blow them up. It's like blow them up and make it figurehead out of them as a what? To make them prominent, so they would be the one followed in the society. Mr. Ben Shapiro is a prominent thinker now. Noam Chomsky is mummifying in Arizona, which every word should be written in gold and hang on the fucking wall, because it's common sense what he's saying. The common sense is mummifying, but the common sense has got like 4 times the age of Ben Shapiro, was mummifying. I don't know if he's dead or not yet, but nobody's listening to the wise man like Noam Chomsky, like Jon Stewart. But Ben Shapiro is very much well regarded. Mr. Bill Maher, with the street cred, brings elements such as Ben Shapiro, and as a introducing that here is the great brainiac. Well, the great brainiac has some sadistic ideas. I don't know if the two go together, but they don't. There are many brainiacs who don't have sadistic ideas, like Jon Stewart. The thing is, Mr. Glenn Beck brought this gentleman on his show, and they were basically of the same idea, and the idea was, these motherfuckers in London, Paris, and New York, why are they sympathizing with those brown cocksuckers over there who are causing trouble? The brown cocksuckers are in their home. They have been run out of their home. They want to go back to their home. That's why they're causing trouble. Is that difficult to understand? You have gone in and you said, no, according to my title, the title that you brought from 2,000 years ago in some mythical book, according to my title, this is my land. My title is 2,000 years old, that therefore it has more value. My title is mythological, 2,000 years old, 3,000 years old, and therefore I guess it has more value. No, title, once it changes hand, it changes hand. Nobody, can you go back to a home that you, let's supposedly owned 15 generations ago? You go to, somebody's land and says, okay, 15 generations ago, this land was mine, therefore get the fuck out. Who does that? What court accepts that? Except the kangaroo court, of course. But folks, you gotta, sanity is a very good thing, because when sane decisions are made, people don't get killed. The sane decision is a 2,000-year-old title is just as good as if I take a title of a house, I get a photocopy of a title of a house when I owned it, and then go back 20 years later to that house and tell the new owner, the house has changed hands 3-4 times, who knows, the new owner, show the new owner my title and say, no, 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 this is my house actually, get out. The owner, new owner says, it would be sort of like, are you fucking kidding me? I bought this from X and supposedly bought it from Y, and Y supposedly bought it from S. I don't know how farther down the line you are from S, but as far as we have a chain of title, it's this. We are the last owners, whether by, by peace or by war, we were the last owners, and if we don't try to change any territorial claims, we're not going to have any wars. As long as we leave borders exactly where they are. But you can't, basically what I'm trying to say is you can't expect peace when it's continuous pushing back of the natives. That didn't happen in North America, didn't happen in South America, didn't happen in Australia, didn't happen in all over Africa. They killed Africans millions by millions by millions, and because they had bigger guns, better guns, sharper swords, better techniques, better fighting techniques, better conquering techniques. Folks, it's an old story. And the fact that Mr. Glenn Beck comes and says, if anybody sympathizes with those natives, they're shit. And they should be sent to live with those natives. I'm sorry, what? So you're telling people to see shit, no, shit's going down, but not to feel? You don't feel for the people there, Mr. Glenbeck? I mean, you're from Earth, right? It's the idea is that you can't empathize with other human beings. Mr. Glenn Beck, I have news for you. People empathize even with animals. It's just who you are. You think you came out of some holy hole. No, you came out of dirt. You came out of the monkeys. And, monkeys have empathy. It starts way early. The fucking elephants have empathy for each other. You're saying that one human being should see another human being who's getting busted up somewhere, should not see that should not care about some humans getting busted up somewhere. That's totally basically killing all your feelings of empathy and sympathy and everything else. It's like killing all of that results into, yeah, let's bust up more lip over there. They deserve it. Animals. Mr. Glenbeck, even animals empathize with each other. I'm not sure where are you planning to go with this? We are right, even though we are not the natives. This doesn't sell. Really doesn't sell. Even if the natives are, the natives' arms are twisted, and they come and sit at the table and sign some kind of paper because somebody's twisting their arms so bad behind the curtain. Yeah, you may twist the arms of the Shikan sons to come and sign peace papers with you. But that's the Shikan sons. They're not the representatives of the public, Mr. Glenn Beck. So I'm not sure, and the public are basically over there. Some of their brothers have been run out of their land. It's like a prick. It's like somebody is pricking your belly. You have straight skin, and then somebody pricks or wounds a part of the body by something sharp. That's the situation with Israel. You have this is a knife, an European knife, on the side of the West Asians, because the Zionist idea and the Zionist identity in West Asia, it's not Asian, it's European. The identity, and that is the part that you like about it. It's an European identity. And European identity comes with European people. The Asians don't have European identities. That's the part that you like about it. Yes, they're Jewish. Why not? We Christians conquered all the rest of this shit, from New Zealand to Australia to North America to South America and beyond, and even tried our hand even in South Africa and the whole of Africa. We just tried our hand as best we could. Just there were too many of them. We couldn't overcome. Not in Algeria, not in South Africa. That was the idea. That is apparently still the idea. That an European identity should exist in Asia. And and I think the religion of, the Jewish religion, I think it has been in a way hijacked. Sort of like, no, we are here because of our identity. It's written here. No. You're a colony, European colonies. You're an European identity. You get. This is, and it let's put it this way. Israel looks awful lot like one of those 13 first 13 European colonies in East Americas. That just looks awfully like it, with full support of Europeans, because they're Christians, and that's the identity, identifying with the identity of one side rather the other. And the funny thing is that now there is a large portion of all these, countries that used to identify as white, now about half of it identifies as something beside white. But there is a good and there is a bad of that. The good part is that, well, you get all this talent. The bad part is that now you have to listen to them. You have to listen to their concerns too. The concerns of the brown and the black and the red and the green. And you don't want to do that. It's like, no, fuck you. We don't want to listen to you. This is not your country. We can go and drop you there quite easily. So whose country is this? Is this country? I'm sorry. I'm not part of the country, but those who are, I guess they have just as much right to be in the country as you do. I'm not you, but those who are at least should have the right to protest about what they're seeing that is happening to other brown people, even though they're on the other side of the world. You're telling them not to have empathy or sympathy. Nothing. Shut up. It's forget about First Amendment. You're telling them not to be elephants, because elephants show emotions. Not to be chimpanzees either. We can go down to, I think, rats show emotions. I have a feeling, I haven't read anything about it, but I feel even rats show some. Mammals have some kind of emotions. Reptilians don't have emotions, and the or maybe the higher races also don't have emotions. But we, wherever this evolutionary step that we are in, we still feel emotions with, just like our rat cousins. So just our rat, monkey cousins and rat cousins and elephant cousins. So we gotta feel emotions, and it's good that maybe at least some feeling there is theirs that would stop the fucking killing of human beings over there. But the problem is this is not never going to end. When you displace people, those people, it's like you know puncturing somebody with something sharp. The pieces of the body has been displaced, separated with the help of a knife, and that's never gonna go away. The knife is never going to become part of the body. Why? Because the knife has a totally different identity than the body. Wants to have a totally different identity than the body. Israel wants to be European. Is run by Europeans, for Europeans, by Europeans, with the money from Europeans and European colonies. North America and Europe and Australia and Europe and New Zealand and some of the South American countries who still may want to identify as European. Argentina. Recently Argentina. They want to identify as Europeans. And Israel is the same thing. It wants to it purposefully identifies as European with European leadership. And because 90% of the population are European. So you expect the locals to say, yeah, we like this knife where it's sitting. Because there is this continuity of Arab, Muslim shit living there. There's this continuity. If this continuity is broken by force, the Basques have been there forever. So the Spanish somehow has to deal with them, hopefully not by force, but it's been there, and somehow it can be incorporated into Spain because it's older than Spain, the Basques. But Israel is 75, it's younger than the locals. It's never going to, the knife is never going to become part of the body. If you understand how biologically can never the knife become part of the body, then you should understand that Israel will never become part of that continuity of Arab race and Muslim religion. But tolerated small collection of Christian and Jewish communities within that continuity. It's tolerated. That just like the fucking Egyptians and before you intervene, the fucking Iraqis had a whole bunch of different, small colonies, cities, towns of other religions. And they tolerate them. That's it. But there's a continuity. But at least even those small communities, they're Arab by ethnicity. But they have a different religion. That's why, somewhat they're tolerated. But to put a very, very European identity with European leadership in the side of Asia by force because of a title which belongs to 2,000 years ago, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, older than Christ. This is like 4,000 years ago title, which the land has passed hands many times, saying that no. In this case, an older title has more value than the newer title. In contrast to the rest of the world, which the last title has the most value, You're telling us that in this case, in this colonial case, the oldest title should have more value than the newest title. Okay. If you don't want any kind of war, the newest title must have the most value. Because let's keep it where it is. Let's keep the fucking borders where it is right now, and let's not fight over anymore. It, that's the best way you can say to not to devalue Earth anymore. If the point is not devaluing the fucking planet, you don't want to destroy it. You want to preserve it and build next to it. Europeans, wherever you folks have gone, you have destroyed it. Total destruction of the population and the whole thing. And we have to bring our own system here, because our system is better. It's called capitalism. And before it was feudalism, fine. Lordism, fine. But then we were spreading you were spreading Christianity. Under the disguise of spreading this Christianity, you did a whole bunch of invading and conquering and owning land. We own more land. Sparsely we don't even have enough people to fill Australia, but we need to keep Australia white. Even though 90% of Australia has to be empty. Bangladesh is, overflowing, but Australia has to be kept empty because it needs to have majority white, so it can vote in favor of NATO, and it can vote in favor of AUKUS and in favor of other white people, white powers. Folks, here is the thing. It's not so much Mr. Elon Musk when he says the anti-white hatred. No, it's not that. It's just that all these motherfuckers, these other races around the planet, have for the first time have got real contact with each other, and not necessarily through Facebook or Twitter or this or that. They've got in contact with each other. Let's say Nigerians and Indians have a direct internet connection, and they are in direct contact with each other. Nigerians and Indians, and they weren't necessarily like that. Their people weren't in touch with each other. Now that they are, and it's out of, more or less out of white people's hand, their contact of people to people is out of the management's hand. They have come to an understanding that all their problems are rooted back to their interaction with the white people. Do you see what I'm saying? They keep, the Indians, it was interesting for me to see that the Indians of, the Americas are sympathizing with Palestinians. What do you call that? Do you call that they talked? They found out they have had the same problem. The group of Europeans have landed on our shore and said, "Get the fuck out." And that's why they are empathizing with each other, and they're sympathizing with each other. That's why, because for the first time through internet, they have come to realize that they're suffering from the same issues that was caused by the same people, Europeans. That's the thing. It's not an anti-white conspiracy. It's just other races finding out that, oh, did they fuck you too? I think it can be solved. There is a very simple solution, and that is, don't form teams to go to war with the other races. Except that, yeah, maybe we did a little overdo it. Maybe we are a little overdoing it right now in West Asia. Maybe we keep exactly where they are, everything, and ask our Israeli friends to become a secular state, and maybe inflammation over there subsides, then ask the Ukrainians to, you know, become a federal state and stay out of NATO, so we stop that bloodshed over there, and then, you know, Taiwanese don't have any problem becoming a province of China, so they should be given that right. Just like the Puerto Ricans don't have any problem becoming part of America, but you know, they have been left outside the door for a long time now. It's just geopolitically, some things are convenient, some things are not. But to stop the bloodshed, you have to think it logically. You, first, you feel some kind of emotions. That's necessary, Mr. Glenn Beck. You gotta feel. And then once you feel, maybe logically you can sit down and think that, oh, that felt really bad. You know, now let's logically think how we can remedy that. Oh, the remedy is simple. It's a European Jewish identity introduced as the owner of a big chunk of land, a very important land in the Middle East, is given to an European white, supposedly Jewish, but I think the Jewishness is the facade. European white identity was introduced into the side of Asia, brown Arab Muslim identity majority. They were introduced not as guests but as rulers of a nice piece of chunk of land, and the natives should get used to it. I don't think the natives are ever going to get used to it. This idea of a knife ever will become part of the body. Yeah, if the knife turns into the body, of course it can become part of the body. How does the knife turn into body? That means all the molecules of the knife, spread out and allow the body to penetrate the metal. That's why you leave a knife in the tree for 100 years supposedly, and then at that point the knife becomes part of the tree because the metal has dissolved and gone into the tree, and tree material has penetrated inside. So now you cannot tell the tree from the knife. Just like you can't tell, you can barely tell the fossil from the stone around it. You can barely that there's an impression there, but the material is barely, you can tell them apart because they're both stone, have turned into stone. The thing with this injury is that as long as it's expanding, as long as it doesn't dissolve within the local ethnicity, this is always going to remain a knife. And you want to keep it a knife because you want to keep it in the European identity. If the Israelis go native, then they're no longer a use for the Europeans. If Israelis go native, that means become a secular Arab state, with the current population, but everybody, the identity becomes a secular Arab state. If tomorrow Israel says, okay, from tomorrow morning, from today, we are going to be an, secular Arab state. The Arabs can also become leaders here and prime ministers. If that happens, the whole usefulness of Israel is gone out the door for white people of, NATO and AUKUS. That's why the white people of NATO and AUKUS, such as you, Mr. Glenn Beck, are up in arms. That no. Fuck you. That identity that is European, specifically European, or that white identity needs to be there. you're insisting on having a knife in somebody's body. That's, the body is the body in brown, Arab by ethnicity, brown by color, Muslim by religion, with small pockets of tolerated Arab, but still, but are different religions. Tolerated Arab, but still other different religions. This is the normal flora and fauna of the land there. That's the normal body. You want to accept it, you don't want to accept it. It's like, the guy said, the astronomer said, you know, facts are, does that, the facts, you don't have to believe in facts. They're just there. The fact is the flora and fauna over there is brown, Arab, short, stupid, and Muslim. That's the normal flora and fauna. And the olive oils, or the olive trees. That's the normal flora and fauna. You don't want bloodshed? Leave the fucking normal flora and fauna alone. Pull the knife out and say, okay, no problem. From tomorrow, we are a secular state of Israel. We remove the Star of David, we incorporate their flag with our flag, like the British have done, and we become, secular state of Israel. Because more of our population are Arabs, is going to have an Arab identity as well. If that happens tomorrow, no more Arabs or Europeans are going to die in that area. No more deaths. At least not in that way. Criminality is a different thing. But no more official killing of each other will take place over there. And everybody can stay where they are. Or move, just like a normal country. Move. And if they have any claim on the land, go to civil court. Civil secular court. That's the simple solution. But Mr. Glenn Beck, does this logical, simple solution doesn't suit you? I understand. That's not because of religious reasons. That's because of geopolitical reasons. You want to have a white identity on the side of Asia, like Hong Kong. Hong Kong was Israel of the East. Then Taiwan has become Israel of the East. Suddenly, defense of Taiwan is very important. Defense of Taiwan from Taiwanese, defense of Chinese from Chinese is very important. Because this Chinese on this side have a white identity. That's the thing. Or have agreed to have a white identity. Have agreed to act white. Or defend the white interest. It's all about interest. None of this is principle. Absolutely none of it. A principled thing to do is to make sure none of these fucking countries feel threatened, so nobody has to, ramp up arms production just because they feel threatened. If you're up their ass, of course they're going to feel threatened. I mean, if you're up their ass for the purpose of being up their ass, the idea of Israel supposedly, by the thinking of the elders of the white tribe, the existence of Israel is essential because it can protect our interest over there. Really? The existence of Israel is essential because it can protect our... So it's a bodyguard. So it's a, it's a bodyguard, it's a hitman, it's a... I'm sorry, it's just demeaning. It's just, and then you blame the locals for trying to take back their land or trying to go back to their land. You blame the local for the violence. an European identity has relocated from Europe to West Asia, and if the West Asians are not happy with it, they can go fuck themselves. And here's the thing: the the problem here is the fate. You are justifying a lot of this just based on fate, saying that yes, in our fate, it says this is the right thing to do. I'm not sure if fates want to be associated with displacing people. If fates were meant to bring people together, and justifying displacing people based on fate, because my Mormon faith tells me, rapture will come if something happens over there, and if my evangelical faith says, we need to work hard to reach the rapture. Why the fuck is this obsession with the rapture? And if you don't like living, don't procreate. I mean, that not everybody wants to, if you don't want to, if living is such suffering that you want to bring forward the rapture, well, don't reproduce, and then whenever you get tired, you can hang yourself. But, bringing in the rapture and hoping the rapture comes, and come on, man. It just doesn't make sense. This idea that no, we want this knife with a totally separate identity on the side of Asia, and then we also don't want this knife to lose its identity, its white identity. It has to remain white, even if it means forcing the brown people out of land. So this knife can keep its white identity. Again, it goes back to if you don't want to continue this guerrilla warfare, which is going to continue for the next 1,000 years. Two options: either you continue this situation for the next 2,000 years. Why? The reason is because on one hand, white people want Israel to keep its white identity, European identity. On the other hand, as long as Israel keeps its European identity, it will never become part of the body in the West Asia, which is brown and Muslim and Arab in nature, in flora and fauna. So one is continue fighting the locals for the next 2,000 years, because unless you don't become part of the body, unless the identity of Israel doesn't become Arab, native Arab, Muslim, or native Arab and secular, native Arab secular, unless the system of Israel does not become native Arab secular, the knife will never dissolve in the body. If it becomes native Arab secular, the identity of that area, the body becomes whole and there is no more bloodshed. And all the Israelis who are living there, they can continue living there, just form their own parties and, with a good police force, hope for the best, coexisting with the locals in the same streets. But the majority is going to turn. So the European identity, the distinct European identity that Israel has, it will go away. Will become South Africa. More or less, maybe a little less, because there are a lot of Europeans there, and then the security has to be well established there to, because all other religions also go there to visit and such. So it has to be a very police-oriented, secular state, which will have probably an Arab identity, probably a majority Muslim identity, but as long as it follows some kind of a constitution such as the United States, everything should work out fine. And eventually things worked out fine in South Africa. Still some trouble, but you know, but you gotta, you know, you gotta leave a, Palestinian figure alive, like Mandela. You gotta leave one of these folks alive to be able to hand power over peacefully. You have killed all these, father figures that these folks had. So in order to hand over the power peacefully and make sure there's a peaceful transition of power, you have to keep some of these old Palestinians so he can keep his people down. And, we won't have bloodshed in the streets. That's the thing. Folks, again, but Europeans will not support this. Just like Europeans and North Americans never accepted, waited until the last minute to accept that they no longer have a white identity inside South Africa, in control in South Africa. They stood by South Africa to the last minute because they wanted a white control over Cape of, I think it's called Cape of Good Hope. Oh, that could be wrong. That corner of that South Africa occupies, it's very important. Logistically, it's very important for shipping and security. Having that white identity was very important for white people. Therefore, they supported South African white minority rule for so long, until, got out of hand. I have a feeling, yeah, it's probably the people in charge in Israel eventually, hopefully, will figure out that it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. This idea of keeping a European identity in Asia. Just let it go and find some elder folks from the Palestinian side and say, okay, hand over power peacefully because, these fucking Arabs are in the majority, but, tell your fucking people to back off and not cause any trouble. That's the only solution. It's a peaceful solution. Because the other way around is the idea of, knife in the body. It's not going to become part of the body as long as it keeps its distinct identity from the body. The knife will not become part of the body as long as it keeps its distinct identity from the body. But that's the distinct identity that the North Americans and Europeans are counting on. That's the white identity they want. If it has no white identity, we don't care for it. That's why. That's why the support. So here's the thing, my white people, Mr. Glenn Beck, dude, you're telling other brown people not to converse with each other, the Nigerians and Indians. You're telling them not to speak with each other, not inside the United States, not outside the United States, not between Nigeria and India. They shouldn't speak with each other on their own version of chat, and finding out they both have been screwed by the same people, Europeans. And if they sympathize with each other, and then they go protest and say, okay, let's, stop. Europeans should stop screwing more brown and black people over there and over there and over there. then you're up in arms that no, 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 they shouldn't say that. We should be given a green light to screw everyone everywhere. All you motherfuckers, shut up. Folks, all these other races have been speaking and have found out that they've had a common problem, and that is you folks going and encroaching on everybody's land. Apparently land is very important to European people. You have encroached on everybody's land, and you beat them up and have taken their land, and and they all have realized that you have played the same scenario everywhere, and now they're sympathizing with each other, and you're telling them, no, 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 don't empathize and don't sympathize. What, you want a bunch of robots?